Welcome to a very special episode of Mornings with Mayesh. I'm Yvonne Ashton, and today I'm thrilled to be focusing on the gorgeous, fragrant garden roses grown by the experts at Alexandra Farms. Joining us today, live from Colombia, is Alexandra Farms' president, Joey Azout, who will share the story and history behind the farm, as well as a glimpse of how these beauties are grown. We'll also be speaking with floral designer Amy Balsters, one of my flower besties, about her perspective about arranging these blooms. And finally, we're going to have our very own flower expert, David Dahlson, on the line to discuss any special tips for garden roses. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we dive into the world of Alexandra Farms' stunning garden roses. Before we get started, of course, I would love for you guys to say hello, good morning, let us know where you're watching from. And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments, and we will try and get to those if time permits. I'm just letting you know they're in Colombia, so the internet connection, we're hoping that it's going to work well, and we're going to try and keep it to 30 minutes today. So it's going to be quick and fast, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Also, just wanted to remind you guys that if you aren't able to stay for the whole thing, but you want to watch or listen later, that is no problem. We're going to have the replay of the video along with the podcast and the show notes all up on the blog for you guys. So I don't want to waste any more time, and I'm going to bring on our guests. Hey, guys.
Hey, live from Bogota, Colombia, it's
Yes.
Alexandra Farms. Right.
I love it. I love it. Welcome, Joey, Amy, and David. So excited to have you guys on today. And so before we get into any of the questions, will you take just like 1 minute, introduce each of yourselves, and share a little bit about your flower story? Joey, we're going to start with you.
So I'm Joey Azout. I'm the president of Alexandra Farms, a boutique garden rose grower in the Andes Mountains of Colombia. I've been in the industry for 30 years and I love my job.
Love it. And Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy Balsters. I'm a designer based out of Washington, D.C. I'm a design teacher and have worked with Mayesh for many years on some awesome educational things, and it's an honor to be here. This is a lifelong bucket list item to come and visit Alexandra Farms, so it's just been an incredible trip so far.
Love it. And David?
Yeah, I'm David Dahlson, long time super aficionado of flowers. I have had a long relationship with Joey here. It's a little love, a little hate, but at the end of the day, you know, it's like roses. You're always gonna have a little thorns with all that beauty. So I'm honored to be here too, and tell you a little bit about Alexandra Farms and garden roses.
Very exciting. And I do want to mention, because I'm looking at Instagram right now, you know, Instagram has that vertical orientation. And right now I have 3 people on one computer. So for all of you guys listening to Instagram, if you want to listen, that's fine. But just know that Amy and David are just kind of off the shot. But if you want a different view.
For all you Instagram people, we're right here.
I love you guys. So if you want a better viewing experience and you want to see everyone's beautiful faces, you can head over to Facebook and YouTube, because we are live everywhere, people. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All right, Joey, let's get into the garden roses. So can you tell us a little bit about the history and background of Alexandra Farms?
I was working at Delaware Valley when my wife and I went to a trade show in Holland that at the time was called Horta Fair. And it was the center of the world for flowers and breeders and growers. And I had a broken ankle during that trip. So my wife had to push me around in a wheelchair, and my foot had to be a little bit raised. So I was sticking my foot out everywhere I went. And as she was taking me into the flower show, she noticed the David Austin booth. And she said, I want to go there. And I said, no, that's shrub roses. Those are plants. We don't want to go there. We want to go the other place. And she said, no, I'm in control. We're going there. So she took me there, and as she was gliding me inside their booth, we turned, and my foot hit a vase and spilt it all over the stand. And that was my introduction to David Austin and David Austin Garden Roses. But from that encounter, this whole idea started of having cut flowers for the garden rose market. And that was in 2005. By 2006, we had some tests running, and that's when Alexandra Farms started.
That's amazing. All because of a broken ankle.
That is amazing.
I love that. I've never heard that story,
Did not
Joey.
know that.
So tell us a little bit about kind of the growing process and kind of ensuring quality and consistency that your roses are known for.
Well, garden roses are very similar to regular roses. The shrubs are similar, the flowers are similar, but they have the added complications of a more delicate, perishable product, right? Also, the varieties aren't bred for cut flower production in greenhouses. They're bred for shrubs. So it's much harder to bring that kind of plant into commercial production. So we've had to develop all sorts of technologies for different varieties to make them commercial. We've also had to develop different kinds of packing. Our packaging is of a dozen roses because the point of cut is open, and if we don't pack them in small amounts, they can get damaged. There's a series of things, but they're really details because, you know, they're after all the roses. We've also had to sell them differently. When we first started, we thought we were specialty roses, but we soon realized that we're a wedding rose flower farm. And it's
Right.
all about wedding colors and wedding seasons. And we've had to learn how to adapt to the market of a wedding product rather than a cut flower rose, right? And so it's been a bit long learning process. And with Mayesh along the way and other customers, we've learned what our niche is and how to specialize in it.
Love it. Love it. Amy, I have a couple questions for you. Can you share some tips on creating floral arrangements using Alexandra Farms garden roses? As you mentioned, as Joey just mentioned, they are, very special, and he's finding that it's used mostly with weddings and events. So any tips there for our viewers today?
Yes, I think the first tip is to educate yourself on the full product line. There are still roses here that I have never seen before in person. I've only ever seen them on a computer. And so ask your rep if they can show them to you. Get onto their Instagram, get onto their website, and really educate yourself about the different sizes that they come in, the different vase size that they come in, because the more information you have about these individual varieties, the more options you have when you're building a palette, you know what's actually available. There are some unbelievable spray roses that are so large, are just so impressive. I've never seen them before. So by understanding what the varieties are, I think you're going to have more success in planning your designs. Keep in mind that typically garden roses are on the larger side. So planning to have that space in a design be taken up by only really needing a couple of them in a smaller piece, using them in installation work. They do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to filling space. So I've pulled a couple of also varieties to talk about some trends and some things I think could be helpful to the designer this year, but just educate yourself on what is actually available.
There are over 70 varieties of commercially cut garden roses being grown. Is it 73 or 66? I think it's 66 varieties. And it's so much information that we have a course called the Alexandra Farms Certified Designer course that walks you through and introduces all the different varieties and what each one's purpose is in our collection. You can find it in our webpage. There's a link to that. It's a course that you can take. It's 12 modules of videos. Holly Chappell participated in making it with me. She talks about designing with them, and I talk about the varieties themselves. That's a very useful way of jumping into the garden rose world and educating yourself very quickly. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah. While Amy starts diving into, because Amy, you said you brought some with you, and you're going to talk a little bit about trends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can jump
let's
into
do
that.
that.
Okay.
And
I just want
while-
to show you a few things, and then
So
we'll
sorry.
pitch it to David.
1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention to everyone that's watching that I
Yes,
put the
true.
link for the course that Joey was talking about in the comments.
Right there. Perfect.
And so I just posted it up on here, but you guys can check that out after the show. Okay, go ahead, Amy.
Okay, so I have some very exciting things to show you in terms of trends. So a couple of the key things that I pulled are, we are seeing a ton of color this year with the croquette trend of feminine, very girly, a lot of pink with Barbie influence. And I wanted to just show you a few of incredible pinks that you can use here. There are others, but these, they have a rich saturation. There's a variation of warm and cool pinks. Even just this one handful of different varieties would make such a beautiful palette for bridal, for showers, for everyday work. They're just showstoppers. Every one of them is like an absolute showstopper. So focusing on color, these are going to give you a big kind of power-packed punch. The second trend to continue to pay attention to is the more neutral trends. These varieties of more tonal colors, less saturation. Even again, this is one single stem of a spray rose. So if you can think about
Brand new spray rose called Rovara Hannah.
Laura
Beautiful.
Hannah.
Available for this season for the first time.
I'm
From
gonna get
Mayesh.
close. From
Mayesh.
Mayesh. I'm gonna get close. So if you think about just this one stem, if you're leery about the price of a garden rose, think about how much you're gonna get out of this in terms of pulling laterals off, using this as one stem insertion. It's just a showstopper. So keeping in mind that the more neutral tones are still on trend, these also make beautiful blender colors. So if you do have a lot of vibrant, rich tones, you can bring in some of these softer tones to sort of blend that together. The last two things I want to mention are, we know that peach is all the rage this year. It's the Pantone color of the year. There is a large variety of types of peach. Everything from this incredible spray rose that is just, what is the name?
Wedding.
Wedding
rose.
rose ever. I don't think you guys can see the color that well. Do yourself a favor. Go look this spray rose up. There is nothing like it I've ever seen in terms of the ruffly petals. It's unbelievable. But keep in mind, peach all the way from bright saturated peach to very muted peach to some of these dustier versions. This whole category is perfect for peach, blending peach into other colors. The last thing I'll say is that many of you probably don't know that Alexandra Farms ships dahlias year-round. It
Yes.
totally blows my mind that you can get a cafe au lait all year round. Can we get a round of applause for this? It's it is unbelievable that you can get this quality of dahlia to your clients. These are the colors that they come in. So pop onto their website, check out all the varieties. So they're always growing and innovating new colors. They are working so hard for the floral industry and for us to have these beautiful high quality flowers. This is what I call the caviar of flowers right here at Alexandra Farms. So it's just a joy to touch them, and I hope you get a chance to dig into them this season.
I love that, Amy. Thank you so much. And maybe you could do me a huge favor
pleasure.
after the live and
Yeah.
take snapshots of the handfuls that you had there. And I can post them up on our blog, guys, so that way you can
got
kind of see the images a little bit better. Yeah, because to me, we're still a little blurry, but you know, we're making the best
That's a
out
good
of it.
idea.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yeah,
So David,
yeah, from
I
the
have
pictures,
you
you'll get
on.
the true color, the true.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Joey and his team always have really beautiful images to share too, but it's always fun to kind of see the real life thing that Amy did, and maybe we can put some of the good high quality stuff that you guys have, all your pro shots that you have. That'll be lovely. So David, we have you on and we know what you're going to talk about. Can you tell us a little bit about some good care and handling tips for these beautiful Alexandra Farms roses and dahlias and anything else?
Yeah, so with garden roses, as we know, they tend to be a little more delicate than what we call standard roses. But I think overall, same things are going to apply. Clean containers, clean water, clean utensils, flower food. And one thing I found lately that is like, I've done this test now many times. It blows my mind. If you really want to get the full impact of these garden roses to open up completely, I found that if you spread them out where the petals are not touching each other, so whereas you might have had 25 flowers in a container to open, or 12 out of the thing, try breaking it down to just 6 stems or 5 stems, not touching. And I've done this repeatedly and they open much fuller. I'm not sure if it's a natural signal, but when roses, or a lot of flowers, in fact, but roses especially, when they're close together, they don't just seem to open as fully. as they do if they're spread apart and they have a lot of room to open. And that is a very important tip. Another thing that I found lately, if you're in a bit of a jam and you need them to open quicker, you can get grow lights at Home Depot for $50, and you get them down to within 6 inches of the flower. You can open up most roses in about 6 hours if you're really in a time crunch. These are like triage things for when you really need them, because ideally you want to open up on their own naturally. But, these are like little things I've found as I've been doing my flower tests that really help get what the end result is. What we want is a beautiful, open garden flower, and that will, give you the best results. And from a business point of view, the bigger diameter flower you have, the more space you're taking up in an arrangement. So you use less products and you get more value, and you can offer your customer more value. So a lot of people, they kind of shrug off the importance of getting flowers to reflex their petals completely, but it is a value proposition that really bears taking into account. Very, very important.
Love it. Thank you so much, David, for sharing. Guys, did you know that about roses? That, if you give them a little bit more space, they're going to open and become this beautiful thing that they were meant to be? I had no idea. And we've been doing this a while, David. You've never shared that tip before.
A little bit.
So Amy was sharing some of her favorite things. Joey, did you have anything else that you wanted to share with us?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
As you know, Alexandra Farms has a garden rose design contest every year. This 2023 saw the 6th annual garden rose design contest. And one of the prizes, there's 2 categories, a wedding work and everyday work. And the winner of each category, the first prize is a trip to the farm. And we're having that trip this week. And David and Amy are part of it, where we're honoring Taylor and Alexa for having won the 2023 contest. And I want to turn the camera around and show you one of the activities we do during the trip, which is that the designers get free access to our thousands of roses to design whatever they want. I'm going to turn the camera around and see if you can see what's going on around me. That's the display of roses.
Love it. Gorgeous.
There's the David Austin. And then there are the designers. All
Hi,
working
designers.
hard.
Oh, we're moving, guys. See, we're getting a tour. How cool is that? Is that Nancy? I see.
This
some
is
familiar
Taylor.
faces. Hi,
Who was the
Taylor.
winner. And look at these beautiful dahlias here from, of course, all the colors. Taylor's really into color.
I love it. It's
Yes.
beautiful. Nice to meet you,
And then we
Taylor.
have this beautiful arrangement. Remember, these are all flowers grown at Alexandra Farms. A lot of them Mayesh exclusive, like this beautiful acanthus. All different flowers, so very nice. So I'm heading back to the table.
Love it. Thanks for the tour.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Joey, one of the things we do like about Joey is he's really into the educational aspect of his product and learning and so on and so forth.
I love it.
Yes, we try to. Garden roses need a little bit more education to get the full value out of them. I mean, we've worked real hard to get florists to identify the right aperture point of the flower to be used in the wedding. When we first started, some of our small roses before they opened were being used in work, and it just didn't look nice, and it was a bad value. But nowadays, I think most people already see it. But they need to put the flowers in water on Tuesday for a Saturday wedding. And if they open it too quickly, they can put them back in the cooler to slow the opening down a little bit, or leave them outside if they want them to open more. And that is just makes the whole arrangement all that much nicer.
Beautiful. So we have a little bit more time. Guys, can you share maybe what your current favorite Alexandra Farms variety is and why?
Well, I'm going to jump in here because we saw something. So let me explain. Alexandra has two farms about 10 miles apart, something like that. 2 miles apart, but it takes like an hour to get there. But we saw yesterday a new rose that I think is going to be mind-blowing. It's so new, we can't show it yet, but I can assure you that Mayesh will be having it this summer. It's a new introduction from one of the Japanese farms. I'm incredibly excited because unlike most garden roses, like for instance, David Austin, which is what we call a fully doubled ported rosette, this thing is octagonal. It's got eight like a pizza, 8 parts. It's spectacular, kind of star-shaped garden rose flowers. Really a breakthrough. I'm very excited to have this, introduce this for Mayesh customers this summer. We're very excited.
It's going to be called Princess HH. I can't tell you more.
Oh, it's a secret.
It's a
It's a
secret.
secret.
But that's not the rose I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm talking about the one that's called E ... But we will be presenting it this summer.
I do want to share one thing just from the designer's perspective. I have at times been turned off by the price of garden roses. And
Can you
I
turn
have
it just a
been-
little bit more, Amy, real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
I have at times been turned off by the price of garden roses. Maybe the client doesn't have the right budget for it. Maybe I don't feel like it's the right fit. But what I have been absolutely floored by is the amount of labor and care and excellence that goes into growing these roses. It is unbelievable. And I have visited other farms before. I have seen flowers growing. I know that it's a labor intensive process, but what is unique about this is the amount of hands needed, the precision, the technology. It is unbelievable how much work it is to bring this product to our hands as designers. And I think it's important to remember that when we are creating budgets, when we're understanding how things get priced, the margins of these things are still very small because of how much labor is required to actually grow them and the amount of steps involved. I really thought I knew something about it and I have just been totally floored. So it's been a very humbling experience to see how much care and love and dedication is really put into growing these roses. They are truly the creme de la creme, and there's a reason why they have the reputation and have been sort of the mainstay of the wedding industry. So it's just been an incredible experience to observe all that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Amy.
Well,
'Cause it
well
is,
said, Amy.
yeah, it's so eye-opening when you actually get to see it in person and remember how many hundreds of people it took just to create like one stem. You know, it's truly, truly amazing and humbling, as you mentioned, because it's just, I think people forget, you know, that this is, it just touches a lot of people. It's a lot of people's livelihoods. It's not just, you know, when they get it into their shop, so, or when the customers get it on their table. Does it magically appear?
Yeah, there's no magic at all. It's all hard sweat, tears, and a lot of TLC. I'm really impressed. Like from the people in the greenhouse to post harvest, there really is. Well, at Alexandra Farms for sure, there's a real sense of caring and respect for the product that translate through, I think, to when the customers get it in the United States.
you know,
Absolutely.
Our employees brag when they go to town and they meet up with the employees of other flower farms. They brag that they're at the most deluxe rose farm in the world. So they're very proud of their job and they do it well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so David shared his favorite new rose that's coming out. You said later this summer. Is that what you said, David?
It's coming out. Joey told me I can say the name, so I'm going to
Okay.
say it. It's called Issei.
Say,
Wabara Issei. It's Wabara Issei, Issei. It's a muted beigey peach with a star-shaped rosette, and it opens probably to about 5 inches wide, maybe 6 inches. It's spectacular. There's going to be a very limited amount. So I have placed a small standing, much to the chagrin of my cousin Pamela, I'm sure, but I could not resist because we need to have it. And if any of you are interested in this for probably after Mother's Day, June, be sure to have it. It's called Iste. Es espectacular, como digamos aquí en Colombia.
Love it, David. Joey, what about you? What are you excited about? What is your favorite variety right now?
Well, I've not been loyal to my favorite variety through the 20. Well, no, it's only been 16 years of Alexandra Farms. And what I've decided is that I have a favorite variety. Sit closer. I have a favorite variety for different occasions, right? I might want to use Hetty for my daughter's wedding. But when I want to take something home, I may take Beatrice because I like the honey fragrance of it. So depending on what the use is, there's an app for that. Well, there's a rose for that. Whatever you're looking to do, there's the appropriate rose for that. Christmas is Tess. Tess is perfect to take home for Christmas, right? It's big, it's red, it's right, it's fabulous. Every variety has its place.
But as a lot of customers know, it's never available. So don't order it for Christmas.
That's right. There's never enough of what you need for when you need, and there's always too much when nobody wants it.
Yes, that's the story for garden roses, especially, it seems. Amy, what about your favorite?
I mean, I'm a sucker for the Wabara line. I mean, I think any designer who likes tonal, muted, more earthy, that's just of my vibe. I mean, it's hard. Yesterday, one of the activities that we did was to sort of vet over 200 varieties and go through them and look at, commercial appeal. And it's really hard to look at a flower and say, no, not that one, especially with the quality that they're grown. But this collection of Wabara it's unbelievable. And part of why I'm obsessed with this is that you can lean peach with this, you can lean burgundy, you can lean pink, you can do blue so beautifully with blue. The color, there's coral in it. There's so many colors contained within the Wabara line that you can just beautifully build so many different types of palettes. And I think I look for that diversity of color in an individual bloom whenever I'm trying to build a really interesting palette. And this hits all those marks for me. So the size alone it's like, the size of a hand. It's just enormous. It's really special.
It's a very special rose, since it has lots of colors. When it first opens, it might be a bit of a red pink, and then as it opens, it becomes a red peach. It takes talent to use this rose, but I think once a designer sees it, they fall in love with it.
And on the Alexandra site, as designers, it's really a useful tool to go look at that open rate. They have these cards. This is on their website as well. So, when you get a garden rose in that maybe you're not familiar with using, it can be a little bit unnerving that it looks really small, but you can see on the card or on the website where it's going to open to. That's really helpful for planning and kind of understanding what the overall shape of that flower is going to look like. Yeah, super helpful tool.
Yes, very helpful tool. And I believe we have, hold on, give me 1 second because I'm pretty sure we have a guide for Alexandra roses.
Oh, yeah.
Well. Yes, we do. So I'm going to pop that into our comments so you guys can check that out. But yeah, we took a lot of information off of the Alexandra Farms website and kind of repurposed it. Just kind of put it all together for you guys just to make it super easy to get to, especially when we have all of our different specials and promos going on with Alexandra Farms as well. So something will be coming out very shortly with that as well. I know purchasing is working on that with Alexandra Farms. Anything else, guys, that you want to share before we wrap up?
Any closing words?
Well, yes. I want to say that the garden rose story begins with this rose. And this rose's story in the cut flower market has a lot to do with David Dahlson. He identified this rose as a great cut garden rose 20 years ago.
At least,
At least 20.
at least 20 years ago.
And that's how this whole story began. This was the first cut garden rose available in the market. And David Dahlson identified it as a great potential product.
Yep.
So there you go.
Not just this, I mean, we were into them, but this was the first one that actually had some kind of vase life. And the fragrance, even today, if you get a chance to use this color in a palette, the fragrance it's intoxicating. It's like a perfume. It fills a whole room. So this is Yves Piaget, the original, but by no means the last. And as you can see, I mean, there's just an incredible selection at Alexandra Farms, and you can get them, all the new ones coming this summer from Mayesh Wholesale as well, I might add. A few other new flowers that Alexandra Flowers is starting to grow, and we're very excited to present this summer.
Yes,
Really good.
I love it, guys. So exciting. And thank you so much for everyone. I know you guys are really busy today. You're hosting. There's a lot of people going on. There's a lot. Hi, Peter. There's just a lot going on. And so I just wanted to thank you guys. And I just saw a comment just saying this has been so educational for people who are watching, and they were thanking you guys for taking the time out. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone who tuned in today. And that is a wrap for today's Mornings with Mayesh. Join me, I believe next week, I'm gonna have Angelina, our current Mayesh design star, on. She's gonna be joining me. And then a couple weeks after that, David will be back on, and we're gonna talk about Constant Spry. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So thank you guys and have a good day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.